recently I had a chance to head out to New York to play three upcoming games from Capcom, and my mind is completely blown. Of course, those games being Resident Evil Requiem, Onimusha Way of the Sword, and Pragmata. Now, these three games were announced during or around Summer Game Fest 2025. And even though I got a chance to see two of these games in action, I also had to get some hands on with Pragmata, and I came away very excited with that game. But I was kind of upset that I didn't get a chance to play the other two games. But now, thanks to Capcom taking me out to New York, I can now talk about these three games as much as I can, and I plan on doing it right here. So let's jump into the very first game that I had a chance to play, and that was Pragmata. Again, I played this game at Summer Game Fest, so I wasn't really too excited to be playing this game. I'm not sure if they knew that I played already. I kind of blew through the demo. It was pretty much the same thing that I played at Summer Game Fest. So you can actually read my article here over at the Outerhaven.net talking about that. But for those who don't know what Pragmata is, it's basically a sci-fi shooter where you, the soldier Hugh, and a little girl, I forgot her name, not really a little girl, she's an android, are basically tackling puzzles and fighting off robotic and technological things, beings, creatures that are pretty much out there to kick your butt. But the really cool thing about this game isn't that it's not just a shooter. You, in combination with this little girl slash android, basically have to hack these devices. There's basically, when you're shooting them, a little mini game will show up in the upper right of your screen, and you'll have to use I'll use the PlayStation, so you have to use the face buttons to basically navigate around these little mini navigational puzzles, mini puzzles, to actually get to the point where you can unlock a node, which lets you destroy or fight the enemies. Because if you don't do this, you're pretty much going to die because your weapons just bounce off of these enemies. It's like, what's the point of even giving me a weapon unless you tell me to do the puzzle first? The only difference this time around is when I played this game back at Summer Game Fest 2025 and I was getting to the boss fight, the person who was watching me play the game was like, okay, you're done. And I'm like, but wait, there's a boss coming up. And they're like, no, 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 you don't get to fight the boss this time. And I was like, wow, man, that's very frustrating. But of course, there was nothing you can do. I don't know if it was because the build wasn't done or they're under time constraints because it was a pretty big event and a lot of people were coming in to play the game. But this time around, I had access to the boss fight, and it was a pretty fun fight. I got to do the mini hacking games, of course, but also dodging the boss. The boss was more of a. He reminded me of Ed 209 from RoboCop. You ever remember if you ever watched that show or the movie, I should say. He reminded me of that. Lots of missiles everywhere, blasting the ground, me trying to dodge by also trying to hack the thing, also getting out the way because he would charge at you every so often. But luckily, I had saved one of the weapons from earlier, the net gun that I could use on the boss. They probably should change that because that really makes the fight very trivial because you just throw the net down, do the hack thing, blast it, and whatever. So it was an interesting fight. It was a fun fight. It was kind of one of those introduction, like, okay, you've done all these things on the first level. Now fight this boss using everything that you learned. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. It's actually a really nice concept. I didn't think it would really be that good when I first heard about this game. And when I first saw the game in action, I was like, this is going to be boring. But as I got, first couple minutes of playing this game, I was like, wow, this is actually really cool. And I couldn't stop thinking about the game. I wrote about the article, I talked about it with a bunch of different people, and I think that this game is going to be a sleeper hit. I don't think many people are going to go, wow, this sounds great because I can also shoot and use a puzzle. But once people start playing this game, the puzzle, they're going to go, wow, this is actually a really decent concept. It's like one of those things where it makes your left side of your brain, your right side of your brain go, hey, this is great. We can work together and we can help you play this game. Pragmata is an interesting concept, and I really like what Capcom has made here. It's kind of hard to really describe it. You actually just have to play the game. But again, thanks to Capcom, I got to play even more. And again, while it wasn't the game I was looking forward to playing when I went to New York, it was nice to get more hands on the title yet again. So moving along from Pragmata, I had a chance to check out Onimusha Way of the Sword, which is an upcoming game in the Onimusha series, and it is a brand new game. It's not a reboot, it's not a reimaging. It is basically a legitimate follow-up. It's a new hero. Everything has been changed. Now, I saw this at Summer Game Fest as well. It was one of the games I really wanted to play as well because I played the original games when I was younger and I wanted to see what Capcom would do when they tried their best to go ahead and try a new thing in the series. And I was not disappointed. I took control of the controller. I was able to go around, start slashing enemies. The gentleman who was helping me play the game originally was like, "Hey, look, do this. Hey, look, do that. Hey, did you know you can do this?" And then at one point in time, he was like, "Hey, you can reflect these arrows back at these enemies," which is something they did doing the gameplay at Summer Game Fest, but I was like, all right, let me try it myself. Failed it a couple times, but once I nailed it, it was something that I could keep doing over and over and over. The area was very small, so I didn't get a chance to kill a lot of enemies or to play around with. It was kind of more like an introduction to the game, showing me how to get used to playing the game. And I think I picked it up very quickly. The controls were very easy to pick up. There were a lot of different moves that you can do, but they all were based around collecting a number of the soul orbs, which basically empowers you to do certain things, like performing a strong slash that would instantly kill one enemy, or if you were close enough to another enemy, it would actually chain into other enemies. So that was actually really cool stuff. Getting to another section of the demo, I was running through the town, looking at some of the story elements, which we saw again through some of the information or some of the gameplay trailer we saw already, uh, and killing more powerful enemies. And eventually, this capped off with a fight with Ganru. And he was pretty much like, "Hey, you've learned all this stuff. Now you need to use this stuff against me." And what made that fight stand out, it wasn't just that, oh, hey, I'm fighting this guy, and he's stronger than everybody else that I fought. It was also that he talked to you, he taunted you. He was pretty much like, you can't beat me. I've become stronger and things of that nature. It was a really excellent fight. I got to learn how to use the parry really good during that fight because if I did not parry a lot of his moves, he would continue to hit me when I blocked and he would pretty much take away all my stamina. So that wasn't a really good thing. Parrying is definitely something you're going to want to learn when you're playing this game. You also have access to a block, as I mentioned, or a dodge. Not really a dodge. It's more of a sidestep to get away from some hits. Though if it's a wide arcing hit, you're still going to get smashed. So it's not really a dodge. I was really satisfied with the combat all around. I think what Capcom has is an evolution of what Onimusha was back in the day. I think though they're going to run into a problem where people are going to think that this game is a Souls-like, mainly because there is a stamina meter, and it's not. It definitely is not. This is more of a samurai cinematic action adventure game, and it feels like it. It actually still feels like they made. It was like, okay, they were like, we have Resident Evil, and we're gonna make this now an action samurai game. This is what we're gonna do because the controls kind of feel like that as well, just a bit. It's not as smooth or seamless as we've seen other action games, but I think that's done on purpose. And again, that whole cinematic element. Also, I only got to play a little bit of the game, and I have no idea how far along that build is. I do know that that is going to be a demo that's going to be playable at Gamescom 2025. But again, there wasn't really a whole lot that I can really tell you about other than what I experienced. And I think what I experienced is really fun, really good. I can't wait to play more of it. Again, that's kind of a bit of a disappointment because the demo wasn't that long. I actually played the demo twice because I wanted to go back in and kick the final boss's butt. But I also wanted to play around with more things like deflecting more arrows, figuring out how I could actually kill enemies faster. I think I did something that impressed one of the guys because he was like, "Hey, how did you do that?" And then somebody else asked him, "What did he do?" He killed three enemies at once. He's like, "Oh, I haven't done that yet." So I was just hitting buttons. I don't know what I was doing. I was just absorbing souls, hitting buttons, and trying my best not to get my ass kicked. So that was fun. I know I said that was fun a lot of times, but there's only one way to say it, and that was fun. But after I was done playing with Onimusha for the second time, I moved over to the game that I really, really wanted to play. So one of the biggest reasons why I went to New York in the very first place was to get hands on Resident Evil. And I'm not gonna lie, sure, Onimusha sounded cool, and it is cool. Pragmata I've already played is cool, but Resident Evil was that game that got announced. Well, first of all, it was teased before Summer Game Fest, was announced prior to Summer Game Fest, actually, as I was flying into California. And we saw this at Summer Game Fest. They heard it all a lot, or most of the media and press and influencers in the room had the lights off, showed the game, and everybody went crazy. It was like nonstop cheering and everybody getting happy. And it was like, yeah, this is a game we all want to see, right? And they started playing the game, and from the for the very first frame, it was oohs and ahs and people talking about the game, saying how much it reminded of the very first Resident Evil or the second Resident Evil. It was that game. It was the reason why you came to Summer Game Fest in the first place. Of course, it was a hands-off affair, and we couldn't try it outside for a select people who got to play after that. And we found out, and we were like, "Wow, we're really jealous and are slash upset." But going out to New York, when they said, "Hey, we're gonna let you play Resident Evil Requiem," I was like, I don't care about these other games. I mean, I'm so sorry. I don't care about this game. So I played this on the PlayStation 5. This was played in 1080p, and it played flawlessly. There was no issues. There was no stuttering. I didn't see any frame drop. This game runs great. So if you have a PlayStation 5, don't worry. This game is going to play amazing and look great. So again, getting the controller, going to the first sequence with Grace, getting free of the medical bed that she's strapped to, and starting to browse the hallways, looking for the various items to get through the room, like screwdrivers or whatnot, fuses. It's basically the same thing that we saw the recorded gameplay. But there's a big difference from having the game being showed to you versus you having the controller in your hand and you're actually playing and going around the areas. And I was literally being very methodical, very slow, looking down the hallways, making sure that nothing was behind me. And at the same time, listening to the fantastic audio design. Like there was one section where I walked over some broken glass, and you can literally hear the glass crunching under your feet. The ambience, they knocked it out of the park. Literally, they knocked it out of the park. And even though this was a very short demo, what I played was great. There was one point as I was playing, because one of the gentlemen from Capcom was sitting to my left, and the creature that we all seen, I still have no idea what the hell this thing is, right? Came down the hallway. And I lost sight of him for a second. Then he was like literally like this close in front of me. And I literally went, nope. And I heard him laughing because he was watching my screen. And I was so into the games. I had headphones on. I was like, nope, not going down the hallway. Turned my ass back around. It was like, I'm going into this room until this thing leaves. It was just that moment. It was me being transported back to Resident Evil 1, to me being a teenager at the time playing this game in the dark, lights off, being scared as hell. And the office that we played in, they asked us, did we want the lights on or off? We're like, no, turn them off. We want them off. And it wasn't completely dark, but it was enough to go, all right, we're in this darkened area. We're playing this game in the dark, which just solidifies the fact that when I play this game, when it comes out, it will be completely dark. I will have my wife in the room with me, and I will scare her half to death. Yeah, it's one of those things. It was an amazing experience. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that I can't really talk about because they're saving that, and there's some things that I can't show you because we're playing it safe here. But if you had any doubt, any inkling, any question, any suspicion, or you were being very skeptical about if this game could deliver, this is the Resident Evil game that you want. There's nothing wrong with Village, but this is a game. This is a game. And playing it in third person perspective, not that first person perspective, third person perspective was it. It was it. The second that they were like, you want to play first person or third? I was like, no, third person all the way. Really that first person. It I can literally talk about this game all day, even though I only played about 20 minutes of the game. But this was the game why I came to New York. This is the game that you're going to want to play when it comes out February 27th. 2026. This is not me being hyped up by Capcom. This is me being 100% excited for this game. I cannot wait to play it. But unfortunately, folks, that was literally it. It was just Onimusha, it was Pragmata, and then, of course, Resident Evil Requiem. Very excited for these games, but definitely more excited for Resident Evil over anything else. I'm thankful that Capcom brought me out to New York so I can check out these games. And these are going to be some amazing games when they're finally available for you all to try. I really do wish I had more times with these games, but unfortunately, that was it. So if you like the video and you like the content, do us a big favor, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, because I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. It's everybody coming to the channel and checking out our content. It's everybody going to our website and checking out our content. Reason why we're being noticed by more companies. They're not invited out to do these things, because 5, 6 years ago, this would never happen. We would never be invited to an event like this in New York, or going to Los Angeles to be invited to the Summer Game Fest. It's because of you. It's because of the people who are making us who we are, and we appreciate that. So yeah, maybe subscribe and we'll keep on climbing. Thank you very much for watching. And man, damn, Resident Evil was that game. It was that game, and I cannot wait. And I hope you can't wait either. But I'm gonna stop now. Thanks for watching.